Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Commons. My name is Pascal Atuma, and to my right,
Enyo Suchi, House of Commons.
Ike Steele, House of Commons.
LD Dumola, House of Commons.
House of Commons.
House of Commons.
Still what we do, bro.
All right. Cheers.
Don't forget to me now.
Again, bro. Bamio, look at my tie.
You take it tonight. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our topic today is very, we want to take it home. We want to make it personal. What is the best thing for parents, a mom, a dad, to live for a child? When you die, or before you die, or when you're alive, what is the best thing that you can give to your child that will sustain your child when you're not here? What is the best gift?
You mean like what's the best legacy?
Yeah, what is the best? What is the best thing to leave for your children?
Best legacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it?
Can I go first?
Is it money? Is it legacy? What is the best thing that you leave for your children? And then when you die, people will say, yes, he left something for it.
Okay, well, I think the older I get, I realize that there's more to life than just having money. A lot of rich people, you find out most people, when they're rich, they made a lot of money. I mean, there's nothing else to do with money, but they now become very charitable people. A lot of rich people became charitable in their older age, and in their older age and in the later part of them having money. So you now realize that it's not about how much you have anymore, it's about what you've done for humanity. So now your siblings, or you're not even your siblings, your child, your children, the person that you brought to this earth, which is your responsibility. I think the best thing as far as a legacy or a thing of value that you can leave for this child is teaching this person how to reciprocate what you just did, which is make humanity a better place. Make humanity a better place.
That's your own point.
Yes.
Okay.
Can it be more than one thing?
Yeah, just
A lot of things.
Well,
if it's shoe, if it's
I think
I'm designer person.
growing up in our culture in Nigeria, it was education. Education, and degrees. But I had to experience life really young. I had to start working at the age of 14. And this is not just like a regular job. I was in high school working with the government. And then I stopped working there and I worked, I think I've said this before, worked at the bank, JP Morgan Chase. And then I went back into working into economic development. I think one thing that I would definitely leave my kids is street smarts. The understanding of, Jay-Z says it best, I'll show you how to move in a room full of vultures. Life is a beautiful place, but without guidance, life is very tricky. And when you find a lot of times in life, you will find yourself in positions where you have to make decisions. You will find a lot of forks in the road.
All day.
And I think it's really important to teach my kids. I was being raised in Nigeria, in Lagos. I can't even say I was raised in Lagos. I was raised in Festac, but you got to be really street smart and wise. You have to understand survival tactics and different levels of life. So me saying this is, in a Nigerian perspective, once you're a doctor, that is what you do. But me understanding how life works, even if I'm a doctor, I understand that if I need to go get a truck driving license to survive, it's just the truth. So giving them some kind of understanding that, look, life is beautiful, but survival tactics are extremely important. And then you add other things like, humility, faith, God-fearing. But I think the foundation, planting that seed of survival is important. And I think it's important to me because that's what I had to experience.
Thank you for bringing this topic, because at first I was like, I was like, about this topic, but now it really, now it's making a lot more sense. It's sinking in. And I think on a personal level, I'll open up a little bit. I know a lot of people living in the United States, a lot of people, they're from K through 12, they've been told what to do. It's kind of like cookie cutter kind of education. Then when they graduate from college, you graduate from college and you go get a job. But then a lot of people run into a lot of issues when they enter the workforce and they get into the real, quote unquote, the real world. But you were fortunate enough, in a sense, to have already tasted the real world before, 10 to 12 years before the average person in the United States tasted the real world. So I know that, and I see it on social media, people complaining like, dang, just simple things that they just have to navigate at an older, quote unquote, older age, because they never really were taught those things, because throughout their life, their parents for the most part, kind of told them what to do, not necessarily how to do, or it's kind of like they've been kind of catered throughout their life. So I think that's why I feel like this is important. So all in all, I think for me personally, I think is even some of the specific things like taxes, like and that's just it's under an umbrella of a lot of other things, but those specific things and how things that adults need to worry about is are your bills and being responsible as far as those things go, because it's an important thing to know, an important thing and not only is it an important thing to know, something you're gonna deal with for the rest of your life. So like you said, street smarts and preparing them for a lot of the pitfalls and a lot of the landmines that they're gonna run into throughout their life. And you can never. I just saw a post actually today. I'm gonna butcher it, but something along the lines like, adulthood is like crossing the street and looking both ways, and then a plane hits you. That's adulthood.
Wow. That's what?
That's adulthood.
Wow.
That's adulthood.
I never heard it put that way before.
But for a lot of people, they've already known that already. They've already been prepared for that already. But when your parents are gone, like that's another thing I have to consider too. When my parents are gone, that's it, and I have to. I'm left with whatever they left me with to survive. So I think that's whatever you don't have to survive in this society is gonna, and that could potentially hurt you or maybe hold you back, is gonna be a problem. So that's
okay for me. The best thing I think parents should do for their children is number one, most important, unity among the siblings.
okay.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Unity among the siblings. Train your children to make sure that whether you're here or you're not here, that they will always stay together. Number two for me is love among the siblings. Unity, love among the siblings. Because if you train your children to be together, no matter what, they're gonna together find a way to survive. Then if you leave them millions, but they're not together, once you die, they're gonna scatter it. Then knowledge, wisdom and knowledge. Teach them how to fish, don't give them fish. Because if you teach them how to fish, when you're gone, they can always find fish.
True word.
Am I making sense? Then for me, those are the most important things. Anything else they can leave you money, because I've seen a situation where someone is a multi-millionaire and he dies, but he never taught his children how to handle stuff, right? They were just being given sugar, cream, ice cream, bread, right? And then when these people die, within 3, 4, 5 years, their empire will crumble. Because they didn't, when they were fishing, they were the fishermen, but they never trained any one of their children to become fishermen with them. All they trained them to do was to know how to fry fish in the kitchen and eat it.
If they even did that.
If they even had to fish.
Well, you understand?
True.
Yeah.
No. You guys. Well, I guess this thing can go in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think we make very valid points. Okay. Now, there's something you said about a doctor. You could be a doctor, but if you have to learn to do what? I'm going to touch on that. I have to use this to save to some points, so I know where to. And there's something you said. You touched on respectfulness. That's amazing. That's great. But that point just hit home. You know why it hit home? Because where I'm from, we have some doctors that are not doing so well.
Of course.
I mean, in America, doctor is like you're next to celebrity if you're a doctor. I don't know about you, how you guys all know this system very well, but if you're a doctor, because I work in a hospital. I work in a hospital. I work in a hospital environment. If you go to the hospital, doctors don't pay for parking. They get the close-up parking. They don't pay for food, breakfast, lunch, dinner. They get it for free. They're like celebrities. They're like here. Everybody else is here.
Everybody respects
in
them.
America, in doctor, so they're next to celebrities. Yes. In every hospital setting. So for you to say that is so real, because my uncle is a doctor, right? But this man is not doing well.
Of course.
His father's home. His father started building a house when he was growing up. That house has not been plastered, has not been painted since till today. And there was one thing my father did before my father passed, right? He called him. He said, "Look, you're doing well in some areas in America. You're living, why can't you at least finish up the house, painting, make it look decent and blah, blah, blah. Well, the point is that the guy was so offended that my father even mentioned something like that. He just stopped calling him. He didn't want to deal with him because my father was keeping it real and telling him the truth.
And the truth
hurts. You know, so I guess me bringing this point is just to say that it doesn't matter what your profession is. If you don't have those survival skills, when poop hits the fence, you know, everybody's going to try to survive. And the guy that has the street smarts, that's been cultured, you know, well, come in.
Let me just say why this is the perspective. My mom worked, long story short, I lived with my mother in North Hollywood, California. She owned a home under Countrywide the bank, and she also worked for Countrywide. Now, if you remember, I don't know if it was 2008, 2009, when the economy crashed, my mom lost her job that helped her pay the mortgage. So the same employer that she owned her home under laid her off. So everything was gone and she just moved back to Nigeria.
Wow. So they just like took off.
Gone. Your degree doesn't mean anything in that situation, right? But here's I was working at the bank and I saw how money actually moved. And the key thing is it's not money, it's understanding how to keep it simple. The people who I saw who had a lot of financial success did the simplest things consistently, right? And there was really no title attached to what they did. They just did what they did. And then I started working in economic development as a career counselor. Now, this is one thing that made me sit back and look at life like, wow. I had an appointment, I'm gonna keep it really short. I had a 9 o'clock appointment. I was 22 years old. I just started this profession. I had a 9 o'clock appointment with somebody who had worked with Disney for about 22 years. Right out of college, he went straight into Disney. And the way he described his earnings, he said, every Olympics, I was a millionaire again, meaning the Olympics happen every 4 years, and he made $250,000 annually. Right? He was some kind of director in Disney. So he came to my office and he says he got laid off. Right? He's rich, he has money, but he's like, because he was working so much, his kids hate him. He was never home. His wife left, cheated on him, whatever the case may be. He left. He walked out of the office, and then my next client. Right, he was there because he was trying to look for something to do with his passion. He didn't know what he was passionate about anymore because he had worked so much, right? But he was rich. The lady who walked in after him was an African-American lady who had 2 sons who was looking to get a bus pass. And they literally walked across each other in the hallway. This guy's looking for what to do with his money. This lady's looking to get money. But I can't tell her this stuff because it's confidential information. But she's crying. Her sons are sitting outside. Her sons love her, but she has nothing. He has everything. His kids hate him. Right. But the reason why I bring that up is because my perspective changed so much working in this industry where nothing, my family, Nigerian family, keeps trying to convince me to go get that thing that sounds successful. But to me, it's never made sense because when we look at, you mentioned something about a guy who's a doctor who's not really successful. Right. If you want to know the truth about the percentage of, when we did that episode, Nigerian Americans are broke, I didn't bring it up for no reason. Yeah. It's not about the financial brokenness. It is the fact that a lot of us are restricted to this name that we keep chasing and
status.
And to attach it to what you said. When you said what you just mentioned about the unity, I have so much respect for that because I have 2 sisters, right? And they both live in Nigeria. And as a man, it sounds corny and cliche, but I'm willing to live in a box for them to eat sugar, and fish every day. Because to me, I think, it's definitely important. But as the man, I don't mind sacrificing living in a small box for them to enjoy. But I have to be street smart and understand the basics of society that we live in is some kind of income. And if $1,000 is all it takes to survive to the next month, I don't mind surviving to the next month just knowing that whether I'm making $5,000 or I'm making $1,000, as long as we can survive to the next month, it's extremely important to know these angles and how to, maneuver because I've had to see it real life. I live it every day.
Okay, yeah, me coming in, parents, mom, dad, a lot of people think once they're able to leave the trust fund.
That's it.
Yeah, once they're able to leave a large amount of trust fund that the people will gain, or once they're able to build 100-story buildings around the world, once they're able to acquire enough enough wealth, right? They have left something for their children. So
It's good, but
yeah, it's
yeah,
good,
but
but it's
that's
good.
not the
But
ultimate,
the question is the point is this: a lot of people acquire all this wealth, establish all this wealth, but leave it in the hands of a fool.
And it's true. Happens a lot.
Am I making sense? Now, who created this fool?
You.
They created the fool. But most of them spend the time, like you said about the guy that came to your office, they spend that time acquiring this wealth. So they are successful in one angle, but they're failing in one angle. They're failing in family. Right?
Which is the
So
most important.
most of them will spend all this time acquiring this wealth, never took a time one day to ask his child, the daughter or the son, let me see your assignment. How did you do in school last week? All they want to hear is, what do you need? Do you need anything? Okay, that's
They
fine.
buy all
Do you need anything?
the
Okay, that's
current
it.
PlayStation games in the world. They have
Because my brother and Oscar, my brother, when my brother was in the university, there was a really rich girl from this rich family. What they were doing is, when they say buy any book or anything, she will buy everything they say buy. Then my brother will read so that she can copy.
Oh, wow.
I was doing the work,
Sir,
and she was
survival though.
wow.
Yeah.
Survival
For your
tactics.
brother,
Yeah, my brother Oscar.
Yeah.
So my brother said, nah, we're going shopping. Yeah, we're going shopping. He said, well, we need to buy this software or this. The guy will buy it, so Oscar can use it and learn what it is, so that Oscar can do the assignments. Do you understand what
And
I'm
that's
saying?
how life works. Too.
Okay, now, so you want to tell me this chick, her parents think she's in school studying accounting, but she's in school buying accounting.
In accounting.
Being an accountant.
So at the end of the day, right, but, you know, so I strongly think, I don't even think living wealth. So because sometimes when they live well for you, you become lazy.
No.
When you don't,
I think this is
okay,
a foundation.
sometimes,
Okay.
yeah, sometimes, I say
Okay,
sometimes.
well-
Sometimes you're intelligent. And I'll give you an example. Okay, can I just give one example?
Give one example, yes,
Okay.
please.
When we first got to Hollywood, I'll hold this one.
Okay, hold it.
No, I'll hold it back.
Amy, we've
I'll hold
talked
it
like
back.
twice. Do you want to talk or you want me to go?
I'll hold it
I
back.
just saw an episode of Steve Harvey's show. Steve Harvey, for those of you who don't know, Steve Harvey really didn't get in the game until he was like into his 30s.
Right.
A matter of fact, I believe he didn't really start. He didn't do Apollo till he was in his like 35 or something like that. And he talks about now he's like the black male Oprah.
Exactly.
In his own right.
He has way too many jobs right now that I wonder if the man sleeps.
His own talk show. He's just doing a lot.
He's
of
doing radio.
radio.
He's doing the price. Is that the price? What's the price?
Family
name?
Guy.
Family Feud. You know, wow.
So his money is looking really, really good right now. And he talked about how he gonna leave his kids something, but he's not gonna leave his kids all that money like that.
He said that?
He said that. Wow. He said he's gonna leave his kids some money, but not like that because he was sleeping in cars. You know, that's what he believes. Like, I'm not saying he's saying that his kids should sleep in the car and go through everything he went through.
But that's what molded his character.
That's kind of what molded. So I'm kind of in between Pascal and I don't know if you were going to say something kind of opposed to it, but you kind of were like agreeing with it. But I think it does help when, you know, you kind of go through that struggle a little bit yourself. You know, you go through those experiences.
Well,
it doesn't have to be the same struggle, but you go through those experiences.
It must not be, for me, it must not be the same struggle.
It doesn't make sense for it to be the same struggle. But I just want to just point out that.
No, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That was a very good point you made. Honestly, I didn't know this topic was going to go all this direction when you brought it.
Me neither. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't know it was it.
Now, I love the way this thing is going. Wealth, you know, it's on record. I know you like statistics. You always talk about statistics. It's on record that people that were handed wealth, people that didn't work for wealth to become wealthy, that were handed the wealth, they don't last, you said, I think 3-4 years. I think something like that. But it's a great, about over 80 or 85% of people that were handed wealth, they squander it before their time is up. They never pass that wealth to the next generation.
Have
It's
you
on
seen people
record.
who win
The statistics
lotteries?
is where,
Yeah.
Same thing with lottery.
Oh my God.
Lottery, they go broke before two years,
2
I
years.
think. So anyways, I guess what we are talking about with this episode, this is amazing.
Great.
Yes,
What is the best thing to live?
the best thing, you know, Well, you work hard. You know, you said Steve Harvey lived in car. I'm sure no parent want to see their kids living in a car to survive.
Yeah.
So I guess if you've done the hard work, or just like I know I've struggled a lot. I don't want my daughter to go through what I went through. My childhood was not very. I wasn't spoon-fed with sugar or honey. I know what I went through. I don't want my daughter to go through it. But what I can teach her is that discipline, that mindset to know that whatever you have, you should be very appreciative and know that it can go tomorrow. It can go tomorrow. You know? Yeah. Okay, quick example. I have a friend. You guys might know him. I can never mention his name. No, because he's real. He's on Facebook. I found out he passed on Facebook. Yes, I passed away. I was like, no, this cannot be true. He's 40, just 40 years old. Young brother doing well in my definition of doing well, because he's in Hollywood. He's a host on BET. He just got cast on two reality TV. You know him, Sam Sapong.
The guy from
Sam Sapong.
From Your Mama?
Was that the TV show he's on BET?
Oh yeah.
Ballhead. Yeah. He's Ghanaian, but young dude, 40. So he just launched his clothing line. Clothing line last year at LA Fashion Week. He's on a TV show, just got cast by another TV show that is produced by the guys that did Empire and ER. They're coming up with another show, what's the name of the show? Whatever. But this guy is one of the main characters, okay? Do you know how this guy died? He committed suicide. He jumped off of a bridge in Pasadena.
Now let me say something. Wow. I'm glad you brought that up. It's extremely unfortunate.
So, can I ask a question? He committed suicide. Do there any suicide notes left?
We don't know about the notes, but see, when I heard it first, my whole body, I was just cold. I was like, no, this cannot be true. I started calling a couple people that I know him, because I had interviewed him. Like I told you guys, I have my own TV show called Steel TV. I interviewed him. We talked. We had conversation. We had everything. And he was doing so well by my standards. So see, most times, what looks good on the outside is not really. Although, let me not digress too much from this, because this might take us in other directions. Yeah. But I guess our thing is, you see, survival skill and being grounded is very important. Money is not everything. Maybe this guy had all the money in the world. Maybe, but there was something that was missing that made him take your own life.
There's one thing I will say though. Growing up, my parents used to always tell me, because I was the only child, so the fear of me being spoiled was always don't be spoiled. Don't be spoiled. They try to. Matter of fact, people would say you're spoiled. Like, no, I was not spoiled, because they didn't give me certain things to purposely unspoil me to make sure you're not spoiled. To the point where some of my friends are like, you don't like good things enough, because I was never given that many good things like that, even though I still good things.
And even though they had the means to give it to you. Wow.
Now this is what I wanted to say. Just saw a picture today on Facebook, which is going to summarize everything I'm trying to say. It was a picture of a bunch of people in line where it said complaints, lined up. Then a bunch of people, then nobody in the window where it said gratefulness.
Oh, wow. Gratitude.
Wow. That's the word, gratitude. Wow. And for me, I think that one thing that I appreciate my parents trying to push and instill in me, I didn't really get till I was older, was being grateful for everything. My car, my health, everything, every day. Thank you, God. At least I'm alive, I can stand.
Wow.
At least I can go and get it today. So that for me is the base, the foundation.
And it's funny how we all have different perspectives, because we talk all the time.
Yeah.
Right? We are in the same age bracket, and I always tell you.
I'm not in the same age bracket with you.
No, him.
You're just trying to age yourself.
What about if I said I'm in a different tax bracket? No, but I always tell you, like, for example, my story is lived with my grandparents, and I come from a broken home, right? And you come from a home with your mother and father, and you have the direct support. And I always try to remind you that don't look at me and think that this is what you have to do. because your story is different, right? Enjoy the comforts that come with your life, but just get an understanding of a grind, right?
Yeah.
And from my perspective, I have to understand how to not worry so much, right? Because Jay-Z says it best. He says, Hov did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. Like, my kids are not going to have to go through what I'm going through, but somehow, because of the discipline I have, the goal is to make sure that they understand to be disciplined. Because I don't want my kids to be scared of rent. Those things are not supposed to happen. I'm supposed to work for them. I use this community a lot. The Asian and Jewish community. I actually had lunch with one of my Jewish mentors a couple of days ago. And he said, with all the stuff that's going on in the world right now, their community sends them alerts, right? To just kind of help them understand that this is just within their community, right? They also sponsor people just to learn. Rabbis, their jobs are just to learn, right? So they say it takes a village, right? The best thing to leave the kid is understanding the streets once. But it's so complex that just understand that you have a purpose here, and it's not about anything that you get. I'm sorry to tell you this, I worked in career counseling, and I've seen people's lives fall with education. Education and your statistic, it doesn't mean anything if you don't apply it the right way. You know, so helping people understand, letting my kids understand, if you're going to get a truck driving license, if you're going to be a nurse, whatever it is you're going to do, or you want to be a doctor, the goal is not for you to get this because it sounds a certain way. Because plumbers make more than your favorite nurse. Plumbers make, there's different professions where big fish, little pond. These kind of things is this understanding of how to position yourself so that you're fine. And also, another thing that I always say is, I know it's politically correct there's certain things that are politically correct in this country. The truth of the matter is, though, it's more convenient and it's easier in life when you're the giver and not the receiver, right? So if I'm the one that's able to give somebody money, if I'm the one that's able to give a beggar money, life is a little bit easier for me than being the one to depend on money to be given. So I want to teach my children, listen, life is real. It's 3D, so there are different things. Fear God, understand that the next person, the person next to you is just as important as you. Sorry to bring up this story, real quick story. In Nigeria, when I was growing up, my grandmother, we had a houseboy. For those who don't know, a houseboy is like a butler. My cousin, who's now a doctor, I think I've told this story before, I don't know. She called the houseboy. My grandmother lined us all up. Because of what she did, this is my grandmother's grandchildren. She told the houseboy, I want you to watch this, right? And she disciplined all of us in front of him because she wanted us to understand, no matter where you get in life, you are not bigger than anyone. Humility, there's so many different things, but...
Let me come in a little bit. Have you ever seen where somebody died and the relatives are rejoicing?
I've heard, but I don't know if I've seen. I've heard stuff like that.
You've never seen where somebody died and there's celebration that finally he left.
Is it because he lived an old life or he was a mean person?
Okay, this is it's real though. No, it's real. It's real. It ties down to what we're saying. The first upstairs, story building that was built in our area was built by, we'll make this personal, by someone very close to me. Okay. I'm not going to say the position. Okay. Now, this person was rich. Those days when you have a car, Maurice Minor, big lorry, big boys cars. My father was in college in Calabar. When at the end of the school, they used to send a big lorry to go pick up my dad. So my dad would not have his friends join this big lorry. So that generation of my grandparents, right? They had it like that. But the first son of one of them, I'm not still gonna mention them. I don't, So first one was so stupid that they sent him to King's College,
which is one of the top high schools.
He ran away. When he came back, my father said, the dad complained, the mom said, leave my son alone. They sent him to CKC.
Second top school, one in that same category.
He ran away. They sent him to Hope Order Calabar. He ran away to the point the father gave up. So, okay, you and your mom, do whatever you want. So all he did was eat money. So when father died, he started selling buildings around Nigeria.
He sold all his responsibilities.
He sold to the point. The upstairs, I'm telling you, the story building, he sold the front of that story building.
Wow.
Damn.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
Everybody that's my relative will understand what we're talking. He sold to the point, this is a story building here, this is a house, right?
Yeah,
You sold the front compound, the front of your compound is sold.
Yeah, the acres where it sits on.
Yeah,
he
sold the other part of it. He sold everything that he didn't have anything until he died. The day he died, people were rejoicing that finally you died, That means
he was blocking.
within 15, 20 years after the father died, it took him 15, 20, 25 years to dismantle all that wealth. Am I making sense? So when he died, people started rejoicing. So in this case, who do you blame? The dad or the mom?
Of course, it's complex.
I blame the dad.
Because he didn't check his household.
Because when he was sending to school and coming back, and the woman is supposed to do what a woman is supposed to do. The woman is supposed to nurture, protect. But the dad, a man, is supposed to send you out there to go and learn how to fight, to go and learn how to fish. You know, if somebody hits you, hit them back, but don't, hit them back if you need to. Don't come over here crying. So when he came by crying, the father should have said, woman, which is the woman, leave me alone, it's my son. Get the fuck out of here. You see what I'm saying?
I feel you though.
And that guy, if he had done that, if he had fixed that little hole that time, the story I told now wouldn't have been told.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are.
So
can I ask you guys a question? Okay, you both have daughters, right? Do you think what you leave your kids differ from boy to girl?
Can I answer?
Please.
Can I
We both have girls. Okay, you go out then I'll,
We'll answer too.
Okay.
Let me tell you what might shock you. My savings is acquiring catalog of films. That's why I plan to leave in forms of wealth for my people. And guess what? I'm not gonna sign it over to my daughter or my son. I'm gonna sign it over to if it's my nephew, if it's my niece, if it's my cousin.
That's the responsible one.
That is the most smartest one that I've seen. Number one, the smartest one that can handle that stuff and feed these idiots that are becoming the issue. I'm going to sign it over to. I'm not signing over to you because you're my son or my daughter. It's not
Okay, can I answer? I don't think it matters what you leave, boy or girl. But I grew up in a time in society where it's paramount, it's very important that you have a male child. They put all the emphasis on the male child, the African mentality. You have to have a male. Most times, if you have a wife and she couldn't produce a male child, the end of the family arrange another wife for you just to have a male child because they feel that that's how you project or carry on the family.
That's how you carry on the family.
But that's old school thinking.
I slowly disagree though, and I'll tell you.
Hold on. Now in our time and day, I've realized male or female, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. As long as somebody's responsible, it's important to train your child the way you could have trained whether it's a boy or a girl.
You want to go?
No. You go. You go. Because look, like I said, growing up, I had that mentality. But now, I'm a little bit different in my thought. I'm wiser, and I have a daughter, and I love that girl so much that I've used her to judge other families that have boys in their family, and all the boys are useless. How do you explain that? So you can go.
Okay. Do you want to go?
Let me not forget this. What you said about is it boy or girl? Let me tell you something. I used to have that African mentality, thinking, you must have a boy, right, for you to maintain the family or whatever. Until I came to America and I saw the former
Lakers or something.
No, one woman.
Even President Clinton.
Something Rice.
Condoleezza
Rice. And Hillary Clinton. Now I saw where one woman can beat 1 million men multiplied by 1 million.
Of course.
All right. Then I saw that Hillary Clinton that if you bring 2 million men from my state and line them up, that this woman can use one piece of paper and sign them to prison.
Of course.
Right. Then my mentality about boy or man changed.
Of course.
But speaking on it, let me tell you something I just remembered. I have a lot of nephews and nieces, and now I have a daughter. Every time we get together, I watch them. You know what I watch?
To see who's...
I'm watching who is gonna be willing to give up his food for the other one. I'm watching who's gonna be willing to share. I'm watching who is selfish. And I'm watching who, if he hears the cry of the other one, will say, what is going on? And in two of my nephews, I'm not going to mention names, in two of my nephews, I already know, my daughter is so young. If something had to happen to me today, I'll spend over everything I have to those two.
Somebody has to step in.
Those boys.
Because, you know why? Because I know that they will not going to take it and eat it alone. They will not live to see any of the other ones hungry. So that's how
and the reason why I bring up the boy and girl thing, I just think there's the daughters are more responsible, right? I don't want to give anyone 51, 49.
It depends.
Sometimes.
Well, by nature, most
by
times.
nature,
By nature.
Women are more nurturing.
They're more nurturing side.
They're more nurturing.
Yeah.
The boy is a lot more strategic and logical.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think I hope to have sons and daughters. The first kid I want to have is a daughter, though. I don't know why. But
because they can calm you down.
they calm you down and just give you a heart. But
And you can
I think
the dog.
Sam's the cheap dog. Either way, you know what I'm saying? Sam's the cheap dog.
Okay.
But I think
We're cool.
sit down. That's cool.
These guys, you elephant and lion.
Bad. But I think the reason why that African mentality is still relevant to me these days is because of the pride. The pride of the family is important.
Yeah.
And if you train your son to understand the value of the pride, that is probably one of the most beautiful things you can have in your family. Because you mention yourself and your brothers all the time. To be quite honest, the pride of your family, right? Your sisters, you guys take care of them and make sure that they're... I know a lot of women don't want to hear this. To me, women are petals. Women are like flowers. They're delicate, from my perspective. Nothing about what they're capable of doing. Yeah. But in the family structure, I would rather my sons be the guards of the entrance than my daughters, right? My perspective, right? So, with you and your brother, right? You guys are the... And that could just be how your family is structured. You're the ones that make sure what you do in life benefits everyone through the family name. So that if your brother or sister walk in somewhere and they say, you're Natuma, it means something.
Right.
Does that make sense?
But yeah, it makes sense. But what we're just saying is, what if you have all those boys, so many boys, and none of them are stepping up to the plate and being that responsible? What happens?
Of course, life
Does
depends.
that happen?
But this is one thing I'm going to say about Nigeria, though. Nigerian training, right? I'm the black sheep of my family.
You look like it.
Meaning that I am not the most academically successful.
Oh.
But even in the room of the successful people, I still have something to bring to the table. And
You
I
do
think
have, but
no, really,
why do you think you brought it to come and sit with us on this panel?
For real.
If
Like,
you were
when I was in school and I said I wanted to do animation, cartooning, they were like,
and they were laughing at you.
What this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
I have lawyers, doctors, engineers, but nonetheless, I think for the very, very foundation, even if your kids, if you raise them right, even a useless African Nigerian kid still has something to bring to the table because they've been around it so much.
True.
Just from my perspective, so
True.
even if they don't step up to the plate.
Can we go to conclusion very soon?
Okay. I was just gonna say that for me, you said the question was, what will we for your daughter?
What is the best thing to leave for your child?
The thing about it is, as a man, I can't. There's certain things I bring to the table to teach my daughter, but there's certain things that my wife would have to teach my daughter to that I cannot teach.
We're
my
not talking
daughter.
about only daughter. We're talking about daughter.
But that was a specific question at that point.
Daughter and son.
Daughter and son.
True child.
No, but the specific question
Yeah,
last
the
was
specific
the
question
child.
was, does it differ what you will leave for your daughter if you had things to leave, right?
Oh.
Would you say, I will leave this for my daughter because of this, and I'll leave this for my son?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
okay.
Pascal, he's not talking about the main topic
Okay,
of this.
talking about-
He's
yeah,
talking about
okay.
eldest question
Question.
within. Okay.
And I think that for me, you guys kind of touched on other things I would have said too. But I think just to add, for me to set an example of what a man is supposed to be like, number one, I think is really huge. And I really want to drive this point because a lot of women didn't get a chance to really see what a real man looks like in their household or around them, and to teach them what they need to be looking for when they look for a mate, when they're looking for a husband, or they're looking for somebody they want to be with, because they have not seen a good example and they have not been told. Because I also believe that they need to be told what is it to be a man? What do men look for? What are we about? You know, because some of these women, they grow up and their mom I'm just saying from my personal perspective, maybe coming from a bitter perspective about what men are or what it is to be a man or all these other things, and men, you know, and driving this level of independence, which is great, but at the same time, what is a man's position in this kind of thing? Because eventually as a woman you want to settle down with a man, so you need to know what that entails. What does it mean to be with a man? What kind of man do you want? What's your value system when it comes to this is what I look for in a man? Because my daddy was like this. My daddy treated my mom like this.
Let me ask you something really quickly though, because there are going to be people who are going to ask, why is it important for you to say that your daughter needs a man? There are going to be people who ask, because you emphasized a daughter and finding a man.
This is kind of go in another direction, really.
It's still the same.
What you're going to leave your daughter.
What are you going to leave your family?
Right.
And it still goes for boys too.
Okay. Hey, let me add something, right? That's one thing. If you're a dad, you're a mom out there watching this show, I want you to take away one thing.
Is that your conclusion?
No.
Okay.
I want to take away one thing. The one thing I want to take away is this: whether it's a daughter or son, teach them the phrase or clause or whatever you call it. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. If you don't teach them how to do it themselves, when you're gone and you do everything for them, when you're gone, they will be lost.
Well, that's deep though, because it's funny enough you said that. On the door to my daughter's, my daughter's in pre-K. She's only 4. But on the door to their entrance, to their room, when I go pick her up, that's what they wrote on the door. Teach your daughters or teach your kids to do things for themselves instead of doing everything for them. That's amazing that what they're telling a 4-year-old people in that, that's what you're telling even adult, even everybody. So it's the same rules.
Before we conclude, I just want to ask, because this is a black panel, right? I keep going back to I'm going to compare two things.
Am I black?
You're pretty black, right? In the African culture, right? In the African culture, what seems to be passed down is education.
Right.
Educate yourself. That is kind of the value that we bring. Because when you look at different countries,
That's not enough.
okay, I was going to tap on that. We pass down education. A lot of times it's for the title of what you're educated in, and not necessarily what you're actually doing. Because when you look at the actual workforce of a doctor, I know they're treated like celebrities, but if you're going to own your own practice, it sucks. Because it's a business now, you know? So comparing that to, yes, we are educated, right?
I've seen some useless doctors.
Of course. So you're educated and you have the title of doctor. But then you look at the Asian community and the Jewish community, their doctorism, they send down the knowledge, but they also pack it with street smarts and business savvy.
Yeah.
Right? Because not only are you supposed to be a doctor that is employed by somebody, but you need to understand how to own as well.
Yeah.
You need to, especially for this generation. So
How to employ others.
How to employ others, because again, it's a lot easier to be the giver.
Can I just say one thing?
Okay.
Can I say one thing, please? I'm glad you said that, because it's something I really want to say that's been bothering me. Now I'm older now, and I'm Nigerian American. I was blessed. Let me just add to this one thing on the side. I'm glad that my parents took me to Nigeria, made me stay in the village, live with my grandmother, and go through that, because I was
age though.
12.
12. And how long did you stay?
I stayed for 6 months in the village.
Okay.
So that's like 9 years in any city. Village.
So, but this is coming from American, this thing thrown into showering out of buckets outside. Okay. So this is the thing. I'm glad I had that experience, but there's something that I notice a lot of Nigerian Americans, or maybe African Americans, have going on.
That's Africans who came to
American. Okay. And that raised their kids here. We talked about it a lot. We're raising a lot of our kids, almost all of them, to be employees. All of them.
Cheers. 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 My God.
A great point. Huh?
The fact that you just stated.
And the reason why it hurts me, because the reason why I'm bringing up this point is because I'm happy. I'm happy that we're so educated. Yes, Nigerian Americans are the most educated group in the United States of America. education is great. I'm never gonna knock education. Me and myself, I'm educated, but I feel like number one, it's definitely not enough. And we talked about how Nigerians. There's another episode we talk about how Nigerians are broke, and we are infantilized. I keep saying that we're infantilized. The reason I keep saying that Nigerian American youth are infantilized is because we're told to do this, do this, do this, do this. Then we get to a certain point, we're like, dang, first of all, I'm not really happy with my life to begin with.
I hate what I do.
I hate what I do.
Send me a message. I hate what I do every day.
Somebody was like, you know what? And you give me hope. Thank you for doing what you're doing, because I live vicariously through you, because I can't do what you're doing.
It's amazing.
So I think,
and what you're doing, being on this panel, being APT member, House of Commons, right?
Not living the status quo of what Nigerians and all this other stuff we're supposed to do. So why I'm saying this is because we don't leave our kids with enough. Like, we tell them what to do every inch and step of the way. You're gonna do this, and to the point where we're telling them what career to do. It's like, I just don't understand.
Okay,
we're going to conclude real quick before we conclude. I just wanted to add, because LD said that he rebuffed or
I'm ready to conclude whenever you are.
We're going to conclude real quick, bro. Because one thing you said, I just want to make it clear. We're not knocking education or titles.
No.
But look, you have to do what you love. And parents, it's your responsibility to find out what these children love. Educate these children, definitely.
That's important too.
But it has to be in something they're good at, something they're blessed at. There's something you're blessed at.
They don't care about
Before we started shooting, you were talking about hard work. Rich people, they're very hard working. And what did I tell you? Hard work is great, is beautiful. But rich people are the way they are because they do what they love. Yeah. When you work hard in doing what you love, there's no stopping you.
They're not even working. It's
I'm glad you brought that up. Just to close out what you just said, and to tie it back to what he said.
Yeah.
And I think we should also do another episode like this for the African American in America, because their story is different.
Okay.
But the one thing that I notice about African life, Nigerian life, is there's this understanding that if you're not stressed out, you're not doing enough.
Come on!
There's a true
If your
belief.
work is not stressful, then you're not working.
If you're not under massive,
if you're not having hard
amounts of
computations,
stress,
yes, it's not real.
You're not working.
Wow.
It's going to tie back to what you said about your friend,
Wow.
right? You know, rest his soul. But only God knows if, with all he's accomplished, he feels like he's actually doing anything.
Exactly.
You said something about working hard. Wealthy people work smart.
Yeah.
If you're stressed, you will never be the best product of yourself.
True. Exactly.
So, and I'll just close it out by saying the Asian community and the Jewish community strategically place success in their growth.
Okay, can we go to conclusion?
Yeah.
Let's conclude.
You want to conclude? I want to.
Okay, go.
You can conclude.
Go.
Man, this expensive watch is...
Go first.
Okay, in my conclusion, there's a lot of ways this episode, this topic, our conversation could have gone. I put some notes down here, so I make sure I get a lot of the things that I wanted to say. But first of all, I want to say that the best way to show love to a child is spelled Time.
Absolutely.
Time is the best love that you can show a child. It's not how many gadgets you can buy, how many PlayStation, how many Disney characters or Disney toys or dolls or pots or princesses.
All kinds.
You can buy. It's not. Time is the best thing. And in my conclusion, I'll say that teach your child how to survive, and how by teaching them how to be a blessing to society, how to give back. Money is good. Wealth and gadgets are good, but if you have all those things and you're not benefiting society or humanity, what is at the end of the day, what was all that money for in the first place? Nobody's gonna die with all their wealth.
I was praying for you today when you were feeding us.
Thank you very much, and I received it and I gave it back to you, my brother. So, anyway, let me just. That's my conclusion. Thank you very much.
My conclusion, as they said, we've touched on a lot. Time, I didn't even think about that. That is extremely important. I think, you love, time is extremely important to leave with your kids. But because life is real, right? There are some I always thought it was just me that went through real life until I found out that everybody, there was a show in Nigeria, it was called The Rich Also Cry, right? It's the fact. Life is real for everybody. Somebody could be extremely rich and then he has a child and the child is blind, deaf, and can't. There's so many things that are real in life. Life is real.
True.
Love, time, and understanding that you can be crossing the street and look left and right and a plane can hit you.
Oh yeah.
Surprises in life.
Oh, yeah.
But my strategy in my life has always been keep it simple. Keep it simple, keep it consistent. So whatever you do, understand that the value is in you. The value is in you. It is not in the title of being a doctor. It is not in the title of being rich. The value is in you, because if I took you away from your wealth in the United States of America and I placed you in Singapore, where your wealth did not have any effect, who are you going to be as a person?
Exactly.
So those are the things that you want to instill in your kids. And then tying into what he said, family. Make sure that the siblings also understand their roles in the family. Understand my name that I've given you is pride. So carry it with dignity, honor, and respect. There's so many different things. Fear God and understand that there's a power greater than you. Must respect that. There's a power greater than your father and your mother. So there's so many different things, but I'll leave it there.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay, no,
I'll start off by saying what he ended with was God, because my parents giving me that foundation is what kind of carries me through. Even there are moments where I want to cut everybody off and be pissed off and go through my moments, but the foundation of having that spiritual connection is important to me. That's the first.
Spiritual grounding.
Spiritual grounding is really important to me, and giving your children a sense of confidence in themselves and who they are.
Cheers, bro.
Yes.
Leave that cup right there, bro. You killing the game right now, bro.
No, giving your children a sense of confidence. Me and my mom we don't always have the greatest time along, but one thing that I will say that my mom did a very good job at is instilling confidence in me. Instilling confidence that I can do whatever I want to do, that I'm intelligent, that I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. And then what I would have added to that, my upbringing, I would hopefully do for my kids is let them know that who I am as a person is good enough. And I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish just by being who I am as a person and trusting in that. Because God put that in me in the first place to do whatever I'm supposed to do to spread to the world and to make the world a better place.
Okay. Is it my
Chico, hey!
Yeah, you're feeling it.
Hey!
After you go, I will just say one thing. I didn't look at my note before I could
Thank
do
you
that.
very
Remember
much for
something.
saying you
Please.
can't drink what you usually do.
Okay, my conclusion is gonna be simple. I will use my brother Oscar and I to make the conclusion. My dad is gone, my mom is gone. We are orphans. But I can assure the world something. There's no place in the world you will take Oscar and I and strip us naked, push it that will not survive. It doesn't exist, my brother. It doesn't. There's no place. If you take us, strip us naked, throw us into the streets of Ethiopia. Strip us naked, throw us into the streets of China. Strip us naked, throw us into the most dangerous place in Mexico. As long as human beings are there and they're surviving, we will survive. And it won't take us long to survive. Because my father taught us one thing. My father said, as long as two of you stay together, the family, you guys will never face anything you cannot overcome. And even though my father was who he was, he never fed us sugar. My dad would feed other people sugar, but refuse us sugar. You know how they used to have your parents come to school? My dad would my father would go to his cousin's school or his nephew's school, but give us a piece of paper to present.
That's that
Why
military.
did you do that?
I don't know about hold on, that's where I'm coming.
Wow.
You know how when we were young, my father would come back with money because he used to own a building materials business. Come back with money, and I was in primary school when I started going to the bank. Primary 3 or 4.
You go and deposit it.
You will carry your ball. He will show you what to do. You will carry your ball. You have a lot of money in your bag, but a small kid with a lot of money in your bag with the ball bouncing. Who will think you have money? And he will tell you what to do. So you come into the bank, a young kid, and people are looking at me, but you tell you stay in line 50, go to this place, do that thing. So by the time I was about 12, I was a master in going to the bank and making deposits.
You know what would have been slicker? Cut that ball open and put the money in the ball and just start kicking it.
But do you understand
I feel you.
where I'm coming from?
I hear you.
Now, people might look at us and think we are Hollywood. No. Oscar and I, we know how to process cassava. Got it? We know how to
Talk about it.
Yeah, we know how to plant it. We know how to cut the bush, set the bush on fire, do everything.
It's agriculture.
Plant it,
Wow.
we know it from A to Z.
This is probably one of the most important episodes. I've
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Tom.
Within my
It's
brother and I,
beautiful.
right, we know how to process palm oil from scratch to finish. There's nothing anybody that works in a farm can do that I cannot do. Right? My brother cannot do. So if you take me to China and there's farmer in there, they show me land, I will start planting food.
Deep.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Right.
Now, in the midst of that, my father made sure that we went to the best school that was available in that state where we came from, Government College Omaya. 4 of us, all the boys. Then my 3 sisters, my father made sure that they went to the best school for the girls, Mary Magdalene. Right? So, I remember going to Canada, and I got a deal in Canada to write a script. When I finished writing the script and they paid me, I called my dad. I said, I'm just going to say thank you to you and your mom for sending me to Government College. Because what I'm using today to eat is not really what I learned from the university. It's what I learned from my high school. Because it was from my high school that they taught us the best English. We had the best English teachers in the States. So that's how I learned how to write. So what am I saying is this: teach your children everything when they're young. So when you're gone, you're already giving them enough wings to fly. That's my conclusion.
Okay, real quick before we chase.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was very emotional. I didn't want to go to bring Sam's story in this episode, but it just came out during my talk. So, in so saying, I want to say something that was ministered to us and also reach out to the world, because tomorrow is not guaranteed for anyone. It doesn't matter how healthy you are or how rich you are. Let's try to appreciate each other more and say some encouraging words all the time. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference how you appreciate people. It's easy to tear people down, tear things down, but it's not so easy. You don't hear it all the time for people to encourage. Everybody is just cutthroat. I want to be better than you.
I love you.
Hold on. He just reminded me of something I need to say so that other children will know it. When I first came to Hollywood, a friend of mine, when he found out what I came here to do, you know what he told me? He said, my brother-in-law, my friends, they all tried and they failed. You know what I told him? They tried and they failed, but their name is not Pascal Atuma.
Pascal Atuma!
So,
APT!
so